Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me welcome you all to our second workshop under Meta Plus 2.0, organized by the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Club of University of Colombo in collaboration with the Leo Club of the University of Colombo Faculty of Science. My name is Shavindi Handagama and I will be your host for the evening. As the first workshop of our workshop series, we were able to hold an introductory session on research in collaboration with Dr. Manika Jayathilaka. Today, through our second workshop, we wish to give you a better understanding about how to write a good journal paper and how to get it accepted. For that, a renowned and talented personality has joined with us today to share his knowledge and experience with all of us. So, without further ado, we will welcome that unique personality to our workshop. He is none other than Professor Ruwan Jayathilaka. Dr. Ruwan Jayathilaka is an associate professor of SLIIT Business School and he is currently serving as the head of the Department of Information Management in SLIIT Business School. Also, he is working as the coordinator for MBA program and prior to joining SLIIT, he worked with many international and national institutions. Professor Ruwan Jayathilaka is the author of several peer-reviewed articles published in a number of international leading journals and has lecturing experience in applied econometrics, business statistics, business research practice, and data analysis in numerous state and private universities in Sri Lanka and Australia. Apart from that, he has also served as a research supervisor for postgraduate and undergraduate level students in several national and private universities in Sri Lanka. Professor Ruwan Jayathilaka is a person with experience in research field and he will be the best influence to awaken the brilliant researcher hidden in all of you. So without further delay, let's commence our second workshop and a Q&A session will be held at the end of the workshop. You can direct your questions to Professor Ruwan Jayathilaka through the chat box. Now, I cordially invite with honor Professor Ruwan Jayathilaka to address the gathering.
Okay, thank you very much, Savindi. Is it possible to have the sharing option for me? Yes, thank you. Okay, so yes, I'm Ruwan Jayathilaka working at the SLIIT Business School. But anyway, I will switch off my video, then you can save your bandwidth and presentation and everything will be clear to you. Okay, and yeah. So without further ado, we'll go to the topic. I named this as how to publish a good journal paper and get it accepted. So is that, can all see the slides now? Can you see the, yes?
Yes, sir. We can see the slide.
Yeah, good. Okay, so you can, identify me by using these links. Okay, SLIIT profile, Google Scholar link. Okay. Okay, since you will see the title as how to get your research published in a good journal. Okay, this includes a good or the index journals as well. So mainly when you come to the last year or the final year, probably in a module, the module may include the dissertation components. And the main thing is if you have a good publication out of your dissertation, and then for the next level higher education, the postgraduate degree, if you want to do it in a developed country through the scholarships, okay, this will be the one key factor they are looking at. Okay, having a good publication into your name when you apply for the foreign universities. Okay, if you want to get the full scholarships. Okay, fine. And this topic is a little subjective thing. What I'm going to present is what I've learned from my teachers, lecturers, supervisors, co-authors, staff members, and from my personal experience, and also from the help of anonymous reviewers. So there are many people with generous hearts who are very helpful when they realize you are a new author. Mm, okay, this presentation should not be considered to be a magic pill. Okay, since I don't have ready solutions. Okay, there's no such things as ready solutions here. So your supervisor, advisor should be able to provide you a guidance in many ways, and always seek advice from well-published supervisors and lecturers in your department. Okay, as a matter of fact, although I'm very happy to do this presentation, there are many people in my community who are far more successful than I am and have more useful peers of the wisdom. Okay. Okay. So before and also yeah. Okay. Before goes to the slide, so just introduce from my side, from the publication side, you will see the recent publications. Okay, and publish in the international peer review journals. So peer review journals I'm focusing on here as the Scopus, SCImago, or the ABDC. That is the international level recognition of the peer review journal. So during the last 2 years, you will see how many publications I have. So the first one, the 15 papers. Then education, technology, BMC, public health, disability and society, quality and quantity, and tourism reviews. And also you will see their site score value as well. Okay. And the percentiles. So you will see these journals rank as the top 10 or top 15 of the Scopus ranking. Okay. And all are Q1. Some are with the BDC list, and the H index also you will see. Some are with the 300 plus H index. And during the last 63 days, that means during this year only, these 5 publications are available for you to read. All are comes with the Scopus. So based on this knowledge and the background, I'm going to deliver this lecture. So you can ask any question which is related to your future publications or whatever that you want. Yeah. Okay, as the outline, yeah, so as the outline, this is the outline. So here I name it as index journals and prediction journals. Okay, you should know what it is and why we need to publish, and doing the research, and how you're going to write the research papers, and how you're going to deal with your potential revisions, and some final thoughts of that. Okay, going back to the history, index journals and prediction journals. Okay. So index journals, most of the high-ranking universities consider as the Scopus, SCImago, and ABDC journal. Okay, if your journal is belongs to either of databases, probably the high rank universities consider you have a recognized publication. And creating journals in the sense like, since this is the competition of having a publication, some low quality journals are there in the world. So if you go to this link directly, you will find what are the predatory journals. Advice is not to publish your paper in the predatory journals, because it can be backfire to you. Sometimes your visa can be cancelled, or sometimes your quality will be low, because predatory journals, in the sense, they need only money, not the quality. So once you send your paper to the journal, probably within a very short period of time, they will accept and ask you to pay a certain amount of money. So be careful if your journal is belongs to this predatory journal list. Don't do that. But the first 3 list, okay, so this Scopus, SCImago, ABDC, if you are journalist, will also either of go ahead with the publication. Okay, and also you should think of getting acceptance of your paper, or the journal paper, or the manuscripts belongs to the journal on Scopus, SCImago, ABDC. Don't go with this. If your journal is belongs to here, okay, don't do that. But these journals, yes. And also, if you want, you go and watch this video. It will tell you the detailed instructions on producing journals. Okay, fine. Then going back to the history of this topic, world oldest scientific journal. Okay, this is the world oldest scientific journal. It will belongs to 1965. Okay, and published by the Royal Society, and editor was Henry. Okay, discipline was interdiscipline. So it's 357 years ago. So this is the first scientific paper comes to the world. So if you want to download the full paper, here is the link is there under this slide. Okay, now going to the scientific publication by country. So this figure shows the classification when the articles are fully counted for every country represented among the authors. So mainly here you will see by looking at the time period and the China. Okay, after the 2018 period, China comes in the number 1, and then USA comes second, and the UK comes third, like that. Okay, and then if you look at the top journals with the highest impact factor based on the 2021 data, you will see these are the top journals in the world, top 10 journals in the world as per the Scopus database. Okay, Nature and carries with the very high H index. Okay, the New England Journal of Medicine, Science, IEEE. So those are the top 10 journals with the high impact factor. And number of different journals in Scopus. So here it shows the number of different journals in Scopus by year. So up to 1940 period, the journals, okay, number of journals per year is very low, but after 1960, you will see the number of journals is going to increase. And also you will see that after 2000 period, there's a huge increase of the number of journals in the Scopus. So this clearly says there's a high demand for the journal papers in the Scopus. And also the average mean number of articles per journals in the Scopus, if you look at this, here you will see after 2000, number of articles per journal. So every article has the issues, but per journal, the number of articles also going to be increased in 2000 period, after the 2000. Then the percentage of the Scopus articles with the first author comes from the 12 countries with the modest article. So the percentage of the Scopus article with the first author from the 12 countries with the most articles. So article in multiple narrow field are counted one for each narrow field. So here you will see the first author who comes, where's the first author comes, mainly China, and then the blue color comes in the USA. So those are the, this is just about the background information for this field. So when you are going to publish your paper in the good journals, so good to know these informations, okay, how those things happen. Then if I ask you why you publish, people publish papers in different purposes. First one, that can be the reason that you want to get the PhD degree in the foreign country or the developed country, or some funding purposes. People go and publish it, and then to get promotions also, people need good quality publication. And some personal reason also, people may go and do personal reason in the sense if your parents are highly qualified academics, and if they have the publications, then probably you may also try to publish high-ranked journals, not because sometimes to satisfy your parents, okay, like that. Okay, then, but the thing is, even though these things happen, the editors or the reviewers and the research community, they don't consider these reasons when they're assessing your work. Okay, your published papers as a permanent record of your research, so you are passed those to your committee. So your purpose may be different, but from the editors or the reviewers' point of view, they don't consider your whether you need to get the PhD or whether you need to get the funding or promotion. They don't know those things. Okay, then now questions to ask before you write. Okay, so especially when you are going to publish a good paper in a good journal, so ask these questions. So why you want to publish your work? So think, is it new and interesting? Or is it a current or hot topic? Or have you published solutions to some difficult problems? Or are you ready to publish at this point? So if all answers are here, then it's good to start preparing a paper for a journal. Okay, now next one is when it comes to the authorship, I believe you all know who is the first author, second author. Okay, but the corresponding author is the first author or the senior author from the institution, or especially the person who is sending or dealing with your paper with the journal. It's considered as the corresponding. And always try to be the first author because it implies that your more weight is there in the paper. And if the all authors are equally contribution, then go with the ascending order of your surname. Then there are few other authors like ghost authorships and the gift authorship. So ghost authorship means leaving out the authors who should be included, or the gift authorship means including the authors who did not contribute significantly. Okay, for example, ghost authorship means, for example, you may think that only the students or the people who write or wrote on your paper should include. No, even in the data collection, all those people also contribute to your paper, then you should include those people's name into the authorship. If you leave those things, it's be a ghost authorship. And the thing the other way around, it's a gift authorship means sometimes there's no contributions to your paper, but if you include those people's name, that can be the gift authorship. So always try to avoid the ghost authorship or the gift authorship. Then if you are in a dilemma of getting the authorship, you can fill this type of paper and ask others to put their marks, and then based on the average values, so you can decide who have the contribution. So that is the general thing of putting their authorship. Okay, now going to the subject, so doing the research. Okay, first one is identifying the problem that has not been solved. So how to identify a research problem? Okay, that is very important. So because doing the research depends on whether you identify a good research problem or not. So for example, how to identify a research problem? You search for a problem or read more about your problem and take notes or keep a research journal and seek professional advice or keep the topic interesting. Okay, if all these things are okay, that means you correctly identify your research topic. And then in order to get your paper accepted to a good journal, so some acceptable mechanism for research are solve a problem that has been solved before by others, but you want to use a new method or methodological improvement may be there. That can be one approach of getting a publication. Okay, the solution is already provided, but you try to incorporate a new methodology or advanced methodology and get the publication. So that can be the one reason. Next reason may be solve a new problem that has not been solved before. Okay, so sounds easy. So probably these things going with the qualitative research. So going to the industry or hunt for an unsolvable problem has led to the many path-breaking papers. So do note, however, that if it's too trivial a problem, it may be hard to getting the paper accepted. So this probably when you are going to solve a new problem that has not been even examined before. So probably it will be a qualitative study. Well, the third one is going with the quantitative one. So have you hypothesized and you want to test it, especially when you are going with the deductive research. Okay, so the purpose of going with that is you have the unknown population parameters, and now you have the sample statistics. How close is this sample statistics to the unknown population parameter? So interesting hypothesis you're going to check. So consider these three factors when you are going or selecting your research topic. So your problem is solved, but apply a new method, or problem has not been solved, qualitative, or the quantitative, go with the interesting hypothesis. So bottom line is, so it is important to identify the gap in the literature, the gap worth filling, and ensure that you are filling it. Okay, so if you clearly identify a research gap, okay, if you're really trying to fill in that gap, so that can be the first stage of impress the editor or the reviewer. So how are you going to identify a problem? So identifying the problems involves doing a literature survey and making sure you are not reinventing the wheel. So it is initial stage when you know what problem interests you, and it is necessary to read widely. So start with the conference papers and then move on to the similar journal papers. So, but reading the relevant papers is critical in the end. So after you have identified the problem, so you must work hard on the paper. So what does that mean? So hard working means in the academy. So you must test your method extensively on the problem domain, and whenever possible, benchmark it with the existing method. And if it's a new problem or methods, so make sure that your method generates an optimal solution or a useful solution if reaching optimality in that not feasible. So if you are building a new management strategy or providing hypotheses, okay, you must collect data and loss of it. So how much is enough now? So that depends on the fields. So in our field, for example, social science of management, so 10 to 20 pieces of data, don't put paper makes. So try to collect the enough number of cases for your sample, and then also remember if you are in a medical field, so even a few thousand samples do not lead to a respectable study. So make sure when you are collecting data that will be useful later. Okay, there are times when we can't go back to the experiment. Okay, so the next thing is, I know most of the students comes in the undergraduate level. So how are you going to write your research paper? So I'll tell you a very easy method for you to write the research paper. So how are you going to, first think about how you're going to read the research paper. So your research article also have a head, body, and the tail. Okay, when you take journal articles or the research paper, it has a top, middle, and the end part. So it has head, body, and the tail. So doing the work is only the half of the work, but writing it clearly, it's the other half of the work. So make sure first thing you choose appropriate title, and then follow a proper and standard format, so clear and attractive website. So here you will see when you are reading a research paper, first you will see the title, then the abstract, keyword, and then come to the introduction, literature review, and then the method or the hypothesis, and then come to the results and discussion, and the later part you will see the conclusion, acknowledgement, references, and the supplementary data for the appendix. This is how you're going to read your research paper. Okay, so here the head is for what? Title, abstract, and keywords make them easy for indexing and searching. But this part, the blue color area from introduction to results and discussion, you should know the journal space is not unlimited. So your reader time is scarce. So make sure your articles as concise as possible from the blue color area. So then conclusion, acknowledgement, and reference and line supplementary. So this is how you're going to read the research paper. But from my practice, normally we write the research paper in the other way around. Okay, other way around in the sense, always we are not going to start writing the research paper until you get the results. Okay, once you have the results, you have figures, tables. Okay, once you have the results and table, then write your methodology, results and discussion sections. So immediately after you format your tables and figures, the results is there, then you can write the methodology section, results section, and the discussion. So after you write the methodology, results, and discussion section, then you can write the conclusion and the introduction and the literature review. So after you write this conclusion and introduction literature review, you can write the title and abstract. So why people are using this way of writing? Because we all know you are reading from top to bottom. Okay, you're reading from top to bottom, but when you write from bottom to top, then someone is going to read your research paper. The flow and everything is very clear because you know how you should write or what are the things that you want to highlight in the literature review because you have already know the results. So if you practice this one, then most editors or the reviewers, okay, first impressions will be very positive on that. So this is how you write your research article, bottom to top. Okay, then I will give a small introduction for each part, okay, because I don't want to go in detail of each slide. So the title, okay, what is this title means? So a good title should contain the fewest possible words and adequately describe the content of the paper. So effective title means you identify the main issue of the paper. And you begin with the subject of the paper and are accurate or ambiguous, specific and complete. So are as short as possible. And the article with the short, catchy titles are often better cited. So do not contain the rarely used abbreviation and attract reader. Remember, readers are the potential authors who will cite your text. So when you are putting a title for your research paper, make sure to consider these things. Okay, after the title, then comes to the abstract. So abstract should not be copied from the introduction. So always avoid the repetition. Okay. So and abstract should be of the proper length. Okay, because different journals have different of the guideline. You have to align with that. Some may say your abstract should have this number of words. Okay, so you have to align with that. So the abstract has to highlight the main contribution as well. And the abstract should be rather general in the beginning, okay, and should provide an overview of the paper. So what are the abstracts part mean? There are mainly 5 parts you need to show in abstract. So first one is the motivation should be there in the abstract, and the problem statement should be there in the abstract, and approach and data analytical techniques should be there, or the result should be there, and the conclusion. So minimum 5 sentences should be there for each part. Okay, so the motivation is what? Motivation means what is the importance of the research, or why would a reader be interested in the works? You should need to highlight that. Problem statement. So what problem does this work attempt to solve? Or what is the scope of the paper, or what is the main argument for the paper thesis is going to claim? That is the problem statement. Approach. How did you go about solving the problem? And then the results. So what answer did you find? The conclusion. How does this work add to the body of the knowledge of the topic? So those parts you need to highlight in the abstract. Okay, and then after the abstract, the keywords comes. So keywords are a tool to help indexers or search engines find relevant papers. If database or search engines can find your journal manuscript, the reader will be able to find it too, and this will increase the number of people reading your manuscript and likely lead to more citation. So, however, to be effective, keywords must be chosen carefully. Okay, that should be represent the content of your manuscript and be specific to your field or subfield. Then after the keyword paper, you will see the introduction part. So the place to convince reader that you know why your work is relevant also for them. So answer a series of questions. What is the problem? And are there any existing solution? And which one is the best? Okay, what is the main limitation? And what do you hope to achieve? For the funnel approach, you can use, okay, general to the specific. So while writing the background, so make sure your citations are there. So well balanced. So that means if experiments have found conflicting results on a question, so have you cited studies with both kind of result or the current? So every field is different, but you should aim to cite references that are not more than 10 years old, if possible. Although be sure to cite the first discoverer or mentor in the literature, even if it's older than 10 years. The relevance, so this is the most important requirement. The studies you cite should be strongly related to your research question. So the main tip is do not write the literature review in your introduction, but do cite reviewers where readers can find more information if they want it. And then come to the literature review. So make sure to begin by citing some main references, for example, seminal papers or the textbooks that contains the fundamental theory for your specific topic. Okay, then introduction, introduce the relevant papers using specific style of arrangement. So either chronological order or based on areas within the areas you work on. So then your literature review should pave the way towards showing what the gap in the literature. So especially you write your literature review for the two purposes. One is for educate the reader and one is for highlight the gap. So don't forget to include the most highly cited papers in your area. So remember, with high probability, one of the people you cite will be your reviewer. Okay. So however, don't cite someone whose work is not related just because you hope to have that person's review your paper. So that can backfire because the editor is very likely an expert in the field and can see right through that. Okay, then literature review structure. This is just a small, the basic structure. So you can use this funnel structure, like the theoretical foundation of your paper, first discuss, and then part studies that are generally related, then studies that are similar to you, and then you can focus your research gap. It's a one way of writing the literature review. So most of the article actually you start the literature in general, and then at the end you focus to the research gap. And when you are writing a journal article with the purpose of getting an acceptance, so literature review also can backfire. Okay, if you fail to cite close related work or fail to describe how their work differs from the existing work, and cite conference proceeding as a similar work is a poor idea. So if you are having those things, your editor probably or the reviewer probably will decide your literature review is very poor. Okay. Okay, then pay attention to these following. So especially before you present your new data, put them into perspective first. Be brief. It is not historical lessons, and do not mix introduction, result, discussion, and conclusion. Keep them separately. And do not overuse expressions such as novel, first time, first ever, paradigm shifts like that, and cite only relevant references. So otherwise, the editor and reviewer may think you don't have a clue where you are writing about. And after the literature review, you come to the main body. So the most important section of your paper, and make sure you present the notation properly and don't use a symbol before defining it. And that can be aggravating to the reviewer. So you can introduce the notation as you go on. A glossary with the bullet items at the very beginning. It's also fine. And your algorithm, method, problem, domain, or hypothesis must be clearly defined. Don't assuming the reader knows it already. The reader is not trying to solve the murder mystery. So mainly here, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Okay, only if it's not confusing. Okay, I have seen pictures that make no sense if you have co-author ask his or her opinion about it. Yeah. Then you come to some comments of the writing. You organize your manuscript into short paragraph, but how short is acceptable? So 1 or 2 sentences paragraph are usually rare in the technical paper. They are used only in the newspapers. So however, very long paragraph can make paper boring to the reader. So if you have a long paragraph, split into multiple paragraphs, and note that each paragraph should be limited to one idea. And also don't start a sentence with a symbol. If it is in the lowercase, so like alpha denotes so and so, so that not read well. So instead of saying, you can say the symbol alpha denotes so and so. So keep those things when you are writing the methodology part. Then you come to the research section. The following should be included in the research sections, the main findings. So those not all findings. So findings from the experiment described in the method section. And highlight the findings that differ from findings in the previous publications and unexpected findings. So results of the statistical analysis, you should say here. So what is about the, here, so you provide all the inputs needed to perform the experiment you perform. So preferable, use tables to show the inputs, show all the relevant outputs that form, and use tables and also graph if possible, but don't use both. Okay, what is the best one? You use it. And write this section clearly, because in some sense, this is examining very closely. It is usually tied to your major conclusion and the gap you are trying to fill. Then in the research section, the figures and tables. So figures and tables are the most effective way to present the results. And results are driving force of the publication, and the captions and legends must be detailed enough to make figures and tables self-explanatory. So use colors only if it's necessary, and do not include the long boring tables. If that is there in the long tables, or you can include those in the appendix. And the no duplication of the results, so described in the text or the other illustrations. Okay, after the results section, you go with the discussion, but some journals, the results and discussion can be mixed. Okay. Okay, so assuming your discussion is separate, so what is in the discussion? So discussion is the most important section of your article. Here you get a chance to sell your data. So many manuscripts are rejecting because the discussion is weak. So check following. How do you results related to the original question of objective and outline in the introduction section? And do you provide interpretation for each of your results presented? Are your results consistent with what other investors have reported, or there are any differences? If there are, then why? Are there any limitations, or does the discussion logically lead to your conclusion? Consider those factors when you are writing the discussion into a high-value journal. And also do not make sentences that go beyond what the research can support and suddenly introduce a new term or the new ideas. Don't do that. So after the discussion in the research paper, you come to the conclusions. So present the global and specific conclusions and indicate users and extensions if appropriate, or suggest further experiment and indicate where they are underway. And do not summarize the paper. The abstract is for that, and all judgments about the impact. So after the conclusion, you know the reference list comes, and after the reference list, you can include the appendixes or supplementary materials. What is this? Data of the secondary importance for the main scientific thrust of the article, or the data that do not fit into the main body of the article, or some additional material, so not part of the printed article. So those all comes with the supplementary material. If the author, so if the reader wants to go in detail of your research or whatever, okay, but you may not detail discuss those things in the manuscript, okay, but if the reader wants to go and see in detail, so those things go as the appendix. So this is from bottom to top of the paper. The next important part is when you are sending your paper to the journal, you have to write a good cover page or the cover letter. So cover letter, this is the chance to speak for you to the editor directly. So submitting along with your manuscript, you cover letter, you submit along with your manuscript, and also you mention what would you make your manuscript special to the journal, and not specific requirement. You can also suggest some reviewers name as well if the journal asks to do that. And this cover page should be a one-page document. So I will show you an example of the cover page. I hope you can see the screen. Can you see the Word file? Okay, so this example of the cover page. Now we see the editor name is there, and here you are saying the journal name and your manuscript. What is how this is going to differ from the other studies? Okay, and why this your study is important to that particular journal. So you have to highlight those things in the cover page, and then you can mention you are a corresponding author of that. Okay, then next part is in the cover page, you can suggest some author or the reviewer's name as well. Okay, your suggestion will help editor to move the manuscript to the review stage more efficiently. And you can easily find the potential reviewers and their contact details. So reviewers should represent at least 2 regions of the work. So if you are sending a paper to the good journal, don't suggest reviewers from your same institution or the same university or even the same country. Try to suggest the reviewers from the different country or the different continent. And be prepared to suggest 3 to 6 potential reviewers based on the guide to the author. So normally what happens when you send your paper to the journal, so editor will go to that. So editor will decide whether it's a reject or accepting. Okay. So if the editor decided either it's possible to publish, then editor may send your paper to the 2 or 3 reviewers of the journal. Okay, so when the author send your paper, so editor send your paper to the reviewers, probably your names will be removed from the paper. So then the reviewers will receive that paper with the unknown name. So they don't know who you are. And then reviewers will go through your paper in details and then send their review report to the editor. Okay, so then editor, based on the reviewer's report, so editor can reject or editor can accept it. If the reviewers are positive on your paper, then probably the comments may be there, then editor will send that review comments to the author by removing reviewer's name. So you don't know who will be the reviewer. So that we call it as a blind review. So that process is going on until both reviewers, editors are happy with your manuscript. So then only it's going with the publication. So here, mainly, if the language is not good, directly going with the rejection. If it's out of the scope of the journal, the paper is going to reject. So what you can do after your submission, so you can assume your paper is going to reject because the very high competition is there, because sometimes 1-2% acceptance rate is there for the high rank journal. But even after you submit your paper, I advise or the students, so you improve your paper. Okay, because if you receive the rejection, then at least you improve the paper and submit to another journal. That opportunity is there. So, okay, so when it comes to the revision, if you receive the revision, that means you are very lucky. Okay, there are 4 things can happen after you send your paper. One thing is accept as it is. It's very rarely happen. Or minor revision comes. That's also very rare, but mostly it comes with the major revision. So usually the major revision. So if it's reject, that means you don't know to do that. So if your paper is rejected, don't send any nasty emails to the editor, the complaining. So unless you feel that the reviewers are being unethical or extremely unreasonable. So when you have the accept as it is, you don't need to do anything. Okay, paper will be published later, but if it's a minor revision and major revision, you need to revise your paper based on the comments. Okay, so then what I can advise you, since it's a very limited time, so we deal with the undergraduate students. Okay. And these are a few examples of the undergraduate students who publish in the very high-rank journal. If you want, you go to this link and see it. So this first paper, that means the tourism review, this paper actually rejected by the 2B rank journal initially. But we received the comments, we incorporate the comments and submit to another journal. Okay, so tourism review journal also later it accepted after 5 revision. That is how the situation. And the second paper, actually, it's rejected by the C rank journal, but later B rank journal, it accepted. Third one, it's rejected by a B rank journal, but later another B rank journal, it accepted. The fourth one, rejected by a and B rank journal, but we choose to go with the plus one since it have a 300 plus index. And the fifth, again, that paper was accepted by another A rank journal, but authors wanted to go with the cross one. Okay, what is the lesson? Mainly, lesson is most of the time I receive the comments with the rejections. After considering comments and submit it to another high-level journals, I got accepted. Okay, these are true examples. So this is another example. So initially rejected by the PROS one, the journal, major improvement we done and submitted to the same journal as a new submission. Then they accepted after a few revision round. And the seventh one, it also rejected by 7 journals basically. But some journals we got the comments, but we incorporated the comments and later we submit to another journal. Actually, it was accepted in 1 month back. So that's how this story. So the lesson is most of the time I receive the comments with the rejections. That's fine. But after considering comments and submit it to another journal, it got accepted. Okay. So then the next part, what I want, how to deal with the rejections and how you are dealing with the major revisions. So it depends on the comments that you are receiving. So, but the language you should deal with the reviewer should be more professional. Okay, when manuscript is going to for the revisions, okay, don't say your comment is accepted. Okay, discussions change according to like that. So always appreciate that person's comment first and then write it. For example, useful phrases for that. We agree with the referee's comment, but something like that. Or the referee is right to the point out, yet. Okay. Or whilst we agree with the referee that, and then write to an ID. It is true that, then but. We acknowledge that our paper might have been, and then but. So we too were disappointed by the low response rate, and then. So we agree that this is an important area that requires the further research. So we see the language you use. We support the referee's assertions that and all that. So these are some useful phrases that you can think of using when you are dealing with the reviewers. Okay, what to do when the rejection comes? That's what you don't want to say, but stay calm, take a break, read the comments carefully, get someone else to read it, and list everything and concentrate on the substance. And if reviewer did not get it, it's your fault. So don't give up, because I told you a few examples, even though the paper's rejections, you will try to do the improvements for the paper. So then your next paper will be a much better journal than the journal that rejected. And don't believe that everything that the reviewers say, but objective with your self-evaluation. Learn to accept the fair criticism and to reject the unfair criticism. So some papers have to be burned because the research is not published. And I will tell you a very useful slide for you. And now you may in a dilemma how to find a good journal. Okay, there are 5 links I am presenting here. So the Scopus is there, Springer, Willy Online, SEG, and Taylor and Franchise. If you go to this link, okay, if you go to this link, journalfinder.elsewhere.com, it will ask you to put the title and the abstract. Once you put those information, they will suggest the most suitable journals for your paper. Okay, what they do mainly, they will check your abstract keywords with the journal scope keywords. So it's going to match, and then most matching journals will show you at the end. So use these links if you want to find the good journal. Okay, Springer journal separated, Willy Online separators, save. Okay, so this will be a very important slide if you are in a dilemma of finding a good journal. Not just look at the journal title, don't do that. Put your abstract into these web links and find the journals. Okay, now what leads to the acceptance? So it should be attention to the detail and check and double check your work and consider the reviewer's comment. English must be as good as possible, and presentation is important, and take your time with the revision and acknowledge those who have helped and new, original, and precisely unpublished. Critically evaluate your own manuscript, and ethical rules must be obeyed. So this will lead to the acceptance. So we came to the end of the last part of this slide. So there are 60 slides. I went a little bit fast. That's because there are a lot of slides. Okay, normally we deliver this lecture within 3 hours, but I compress things, and I will give you the slides also to the organizers. So you can use the slide to find the links, those things. And any questions, and if you have any comments, or if you are unclear on certain things, okay, you can ask those questions from me. Any questions? Now Q&A is open from your side. If you are a first year students or the second year students, so you have time, okay, my advice is always try to have a publication when you are pass out from your university. Okay, the reason is if you have a good academic record, either first class or second upper, plus if you have a good IELTS or TOEFL results, and plus if you have the good publications, then if you apply for a higher study in a developed country, then probably you are a very good competitor to get the full scholarship. Okay, any questions from your side?
Thank you, sir. We have got some questions.
Yes.
First one is there any strategy that can use to avoid unintentional plagiarism by improper criticism or paraphrasing?
Okay, that means if it's going to publish from the journal point of view, the journal editors, they use the Turnitin softwares, okay, to check the plagiarism rate. But it is like this. Some universities may say your Turnitin or the similarity index should be less than 20, or some universities may say your detailed similarity index should be less than 1. Okay, but the plagiarism means what? You are presenting others' work as your own. Okay, the truth is it's not about the similarity index or the detailed one. Truth is, even if a one sentence you plagiarize, that means the entire thing you are going to plagiarize. So be careful before you send your papers to the journals. Okay, you can also check your Turnitin or the plagiarism rate. Okay, that if your plagiarism rate is small, that means it shows that your contribution is high to that paper. Okay, so that's a very good impressions to the reviewer as well as the editor as well. Okay.
Thank you, sir. We have some more questions in our chat box. The first one, another one is, how do you decide on research topic for a journal article?
How you decide the research topic or the journal article? How do you decide the journal article?
How do you decide on a research topic for a journal article? That's what they have asked there.
Okay, that means how you decide for the research topic. Okay, so mainly my advice is to find a good research topic. There are different ways. Okay, since you are undergraduate students, what I can say, read the good quality journal first, top ranked journal first. Especially, there are certain places that you can identify from that paper. There are some gaps there. For example, when you come to if you read the limitation of that paper, okay, there's a high rank journal is there. If you read the limitation of that journal, and if you think of avoiding that limitation and try to do a paper, that can be a very good paper. Within a short period of time, you can directly identify a good research topic because that person has already done to the certain level, but he mentioned in the paper, okay, these things who couldn't do. So if it's possible for you to fill that gap, so that's a one way of finding a very good research topic. Another way is like based on your reading, based on your supervisor's knowledge, okay, because sometimes your supervisor, the lecturers, okay, they may give you some advices to find the research topic because they know the research and they know what are the areas, okay, how the topics was investigated, everything they know. They can give you the advice. The next important thing is, if you attend a good conference and if you have a chat with their people, okay, people who presented the papers, okay, because conference papers are time papers, time in the sense the current research papers they are presenting. So if you have observed those papers and then think about this is the current discussions, and if you have a chance of meeting that person who presented that paper, have a discussion with, okay, I have idea of doing a research on X and Y. If you have that chat with that person, sometimes that person will tell you, okay, don't go with the X and Y, do in X and Z, something like that. Okay, that can be a good indicator to find a research topic. The reason is that person already done a research to the certain level and present the paper. So within the short period of time, on that way, you can find the research topic. The long method is like you go and read the literature, okay, and have a good discussion with the different peoples and find the research paper that makes, a lot of times going there. Or if you are going with the qualitative, basically the literature review will tell you, how depth you read the literature will tell you how much important research topic you've found it. Okay. Okay, any other?
The next question is, what is the difference between a research paper and a research journal?
What is the difference between research paper and the research journal? Okay, research paper, for example, it comes in the different format. Okay, one is the journal article, but if you comes with a research paper, it can be either a conference proceeding. Okay, it can be either a dissertation, or it can be a thesis, or it can be a magazine article, or comes with the research papers. But in the journal paper, it's not like that. Journal paper has the proper peer review process. That means someone went to your that paper and evaluated, and then academics and everything check whether all are in the correct order, and the blind review is there, so that the peer review process is there for the journal paper. So that's, we call it as the index journal. So that's the, journal is a part of the research paper. Okay, any other?
Next question is that, how can you ensure that your research journal article is clear, concise, and engaging for readers?
Okay, that depends on the experience, basically how depth you read. Okay, because you can't do a good publication within a 1 day or 2 day. How many journal articles you read, how many good journal articles you read, how many quality journals articles you read will give you how you can present, to what level you should present your research paper. The wider the reading, it's higher the quality of your research paper. Otherwise, if you're trying to get publication within 1 or 2 days by reading only 1 or 2 journal articles, that is not the way. Okay, you have to read the good quality journal. The straightforward what I am saying, not the Google article, not the ResearchGate article. You go with the Scopus, Imago, or the ABDC, that level, and read how their writing style, how they start the paragraph, how they end the paragraph, how the flow, okay, how the structure, content, criticism, the language they use, tables, percentages, everything. You will see those things only in the high rank journal. The point is, like Google or the ResearchGate, I'm not criticizing because everyone can publish in the Google or the ResearchGate. There is no proper, the mechanism to review those things. But if you go in the Scopus, Imago, ABDC, there's a proper research review process is there. That's why most of the good qualities universities, they go with the Scopus, Imago, and ABDC. So if you read the journal paper which belongs to those databases, okay, you will understand their gravity as well. So that will reflect from your writing as well at the end.
Now, another question is also there. That one is, what are some common mistakes to avoid when writing a research journal article?
There are a lot actually. The common mistake is if you are a student, if the reviewer read, there should be a clear flow. Okay, that is the first impression. And also the formatting, not the formatting errors, and the language should be clear. And also don't mix the UK and the USA style. Okay, one consistent style you should use, and the reference list should be consistent. Okay, don't mix the referencing style. And the first impression or the halo effect or the first impression should be in your paper. So what's the avoid means? Like don't write any unnecessary things in the paper, because journal paper is a very compressed version because the limited time and the limited words you can use. Okay, if you feel in your writing this particular sentence can't remove, any sentence can't remove from your text, that implies your writing is good. Okay, and also try to write in the summary format, very compressed format in the writing. And what to avoid means how you start your paragraph, how the paragraph is connectivity, how the flow is comes, and how you present your results. Okay, how the discussion is there. Is your results and discussion relevant to the objective? Okay, so if there are the consistent formatting is there. So those things you should be keeping in your mind when you are writing a good journal paper. Okay, in addition to the subject matter, what I'm saying. Okay.
Another question is there. Could you how to find the funding for a research paper?
How to find the findings?
Funding. How to find the funding for a research paper?
Okay, if you look at big organizations, okay, to give some research project, okay, they will evaluate who are the resource peoples. Okay, mainly your research peoples are knowledgeable, or whether they know the subject matters. To that, the funding institutions will check who is going to do this research. So who is going to do this research? Probably, if you show you have a very good publications, you have a very good record of publication, very good record of history of the academics. So that will be the key that they going to check. So that's the one thing. So the funding agencies, for that, if you can provide the good journal papers are there, then your funding agencies will be happy with you. And for the students from the funding agencies like that, from towards to the scholarship point of view, if you are having a good publication, that saying an indirect message to the supervisor, or you become supervisors, that you are a very good researcher, you have a very good writing ability, you know everything. So that indirectly saying to your potential supervisors, you are capable to do the research with the minimum supervision of your future supervisors. So those students always encourage, they love to take those students because the minimum supervision they can guide. But if the supervisor feels like you don't have any ability for the research capacity, then no one is having a good impression of you, because they have very hard effort for you. So same thing for the university. Because some universities are going to fund the students, so that if you have all the capabilities, they will agree to fund you. So it can be either academic person, or it can be either the research purpose aspect. Okay, any questions?
Those were the questions that we have got up to now.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, for the answers that you have given. So that was a very informative session. Let me take this opportunity to thank you on behalf of the organizing committee for gracing the occasion. We are indeed humbled by your presence here today, for spending your valuable time with the betterment of the earnest youth of Sri Lanka. And I truly believe Your words made an immensely positive impact on all of us. Let me also express my gratitude to the Career Guidance Unit of University of Colombo, Faculty of Science, for providing consistent guidance throughout. And thank you everyone for being a part of this wonderful occasion. We shall meet again for another informative workshop, and remember to connect with our social media platforms for further details. Thank you and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you very much and night.